Senator Lankford. First of all, Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year to you as well. Good to get you to see you again.
Yes, sorry that we're speaking under weird circumstances, which is a new Congress and an old shutdown. Let me ask you this first question about the president today and this idea that he could declare basically a state of emergency of sorts and build his wall his way without Congress. He believes he has that authority. Do you believe he has that authority?
I'm going to have to see where that authority is coming from. Obviously, Congress delegates those funds and appropriates funds specifically for specific tasks. The president does have some reprogramming authority that typically has to come back to Congress to get additional approval on. We'll want to be able to see what that is. He is very passionate about this as an emergency. This needs to be resolved. We do have a high number of people coming at the border. We have used National Guard, for instance, in many administrations, President Obama, President Bush, others use National Guard. Using National Guard troops there is very different than using Corps of Engineers folks to actually build and construct. And
a state of emergency, it creates this alarming. Do you believe we are at a moment that this is, oh my God, if we don't shut the border, the country's going to get overrun by invaders or something? I mean, that's the way, to me, that emergency power would be used, no?
I think it's been a definitional issue. We've faced the same thing with President Obama when he would use definitions for things that it wasn't the intent of. We face the same thing with President Trump right now on 232, emergency actions for national security for some of the tariffs in steel and aluminum, which I don't agree with those. But we do have a very, very serious issue at the border. There's no question we have a record number of individuals coming as families.
Is it worth shutting the government down? Is it worth shutting the government down over?
Well, here's the struggle that I have on this, Chuck. The president's made no secret for the past year that when we get to the appropriations for this year, he is not going to sign an appropriation bill unless he does fencing. He said that for months and months and months, and now we get to the end of it, and it suddenly seems to be a shock to Democrats that he wants to do fencing at the end of it, when he's made it very clear for months that this year will include some funding for fencing. Now, he asked for $25 billion last year. He's not asking for that full amount. He's saying, let's break it out and what can be done. Earlier in the year, he said $1.6 billion is what DHS came back. Then he came back and revised it and said, no, I'm looking for over $5 billion so we can make more progress this year. We feel like they have the structure to be able to do that and to be able to do it well. So, again, this has been no shock that he's wanted to have this request all year long.
I understand that, but he doesn't he keep shifting? Doesn't he keep moving the goalpost here? I mean, look, you guys have gotten caught. You thought he had agreed to a deal, and therefore you voted for it. Then you voted for it, and it turned out he didn't agree to a deal. So what are you supposed to believe? Doesn't the White House have a credibility problem here in these negotiations?
At the end of the day, the White House, the House, and the Senate have to all agree on something. That's what Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, what they made the agreement now 2 weeks ago, that the Senate wouldn't bring anything up until the House and the White House both agreed on it. Till all three could agree, nothing was going to come up.
But at one time you guys did, right? Isn't that why you did a unanimous vote?
Yeah, well, it wasn't unanimous. I've heard that statement from several Democrats. It wasn't unanimous, even if you're in the body. It was a voice vote, that there wasn't a roll call that was taken on it. But there was a lot of loud no's. I was one of those no's on that voice vote as well, to say I don't think this is the right direction to go. Now, at that time, I didn't know one way or the other whether the White House would agree to it. I just thought we should have done our full 7 appropriation bills, not do a continuing resolution, not try to punt this into February. At that time, the whole focus was, well, let's just deal with this later. And I thought that's the wrong idea when we're so close to actually getting the whole thing resolved. And I still think we're close. And it's hard to see why we didn't resolve in the last 2 weeks already.
You had 2 of your colleagues, Senators Cory Gardner and Susan Collins on the Republican side of the aisle, have both said reopen the government, continue the wall debate, sort of separate out the wall debate. Are you there yet?
No, I'm not. And the hard part is, again, this is no grand secret that the president's wanting to do the security. This didn't used to be a partisan issue. Back in 2006, as you know, as you followed for a long time, there was a bipartisan motion for the Secure Fences Act that built 650 miles of fencing. That was supported by vast majorities on both sides of the aisle at that time. Now it's become very, very partisan for this very similar style of fencing. No one's talking in Congress, and the White House has now moved away from talking about a solid concrete wall.
I understand. Senator, you keep calling it fencing and all of these other things. And the president, in fact, mocks that at times. And, he talks about steel slats. The point is that there does seem to be what you're describing, there is bipartisan support for. How the president describes it, there isn't. How do you fix that problem?
I would say DHS has already fixed that. This is the type of fencing that DHS has approved. The White House has already signed off on this particular style of fencing. That's more the bollard style that they've used for a very long time. The White House has already backed off of doing a concrete solid wall, which I don't think it would be useful, and which Border Security and the Border Patrol folks have said is a wrong way to do the design. But there is a difference. And in San Diego, where they've changed out the fencing from the old style fencing to the new style, when we visited the Border Patrol folks, they told the old style fencing they had 10 penetrations a day through that old fencing. Now the new style, the bollard style that's there, they're having one a month. So there is a dramatic difference in if you change the style of fencing, but it should be fencing, not a solid wall.
All right, Senator Lankford, I'm going to leave it there. Republican from Oklahoma, thanks very much. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your views,
Thank
sir.
you.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.